Hello, welcome to Love JP Studios. Today I'll be showing you how to center, pull up your walls, open up, and shape your piece. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is centering, and I'll give you some tips as we go. So right now what I'll be doing after I get my clay put into the middle of my piece, and for my instructors what we'll do is just lock in that base, and then we'll let our guests take it from there. But for you that are just learning, what we're going to do next after we lock that piece on is we're going to glisten our clay. So we're going to take our sponge, dip it in the water, take out the excess. We don't need all of that water. We're just going to kind of drizzle that over top of our clay. We're trying to get a nice layer in there so that our clay will glisten and glide in your hands instead of sticking and tugging on those fingers. Now the first thing that we're going to do to center our clay is we're going to interlock our hands. See where I'm showing you the parts where you should squeeze on the sides of your cone? Well, to make our cone on our clay, so we're going to add a little bit more water, take our fingers, interlock them. See how I'm resting my elbows? I'm going to squeeze in those sides gently and go upwards. Always better to do less pressure and then add a little bit more as you go. Again, I'm telling you to rest your elbows on your legs, add some water, squeeze in, and go up the sides of your cone. Now, once you get a cone that's 3 to 5 inches tall, then after that, we will move on to our next step. Now, once we have coned this up, we're going to smash this clay cone down. I know, I'm sorry. We're going to take that left hand. I usually call it my karate chop hand. You'll see it better from this view. So you'll see my left hand on that left side, and then my right hand, I'll make a thumbs up, and I'll try to place it right on top of that cone. So left hand on that left side on the top, and right hand covers the top, and then we'll add that pressure slowly, right, going down. Oh, looks like there was not enough water there, so I'll pause, take some water, drizzle it on there, and then I can often take my sponge and kind of just hold it there and squeeze some water as I go. But again, it's downward pressure with that right hand and leftward pressure with that left hand, and then those two movements are going to go down, and we're shooting to go into our English muffin. And you can see kind of the way that you press with that outside hand will start to form the side of that shape. And make sure, guys, that your right hand is on top or your left hand's on the side. The way the wheel spins is going to be very, very easy for you to do this shaping in that way. And when we get down to this English muffin, then we'll usually get an instructor to come check you off, make sure it's all the way centered, and then we'll move on to our next step. Now, friends, the next step we're going to do to our clay is we're going to dig and open. So we're going to take our index finger, slide along our little clay English muffin, get some water if we need to, and we're going to drill in. We're starting to drill in. We're trying to go about a knuckle of our index finger, you know, that first little bend that we have. We're trying to go into the middle. We're trying to get the depth. Now, you can see here that there's a little piece of clay shooting up at me. That means I'm not pushing the very middle. So I take my finger, go back, find that center, and start to just push that clay down. Now, once I get my depth, it's about a digit of that finger. I'm going to pull back and trying to go just flat and level. Now, I want to leave some clay about a 1/4 inch on the bottom so I can have a good even bottom. My next step, friends, is we are going to be pulling our walls. And so there are many a way to do this. And some ways that I will show you are as follows. But first, you can see I'm getting my clay ready. I'm adding some water on the inside and on the outside. Remember, we have those two walls. I can do a little V, let the water trickle down my fingers. But I'll take my hand. The idea is I have pressure on the outside and pressure on the inside. So this is kind of the idea, what it will be looking like. But there's two ways to do it. Well, number one is I can use a knuckle, and two, I can use a little Muppet hand, use my fingers. Now, to show you this, I'll bend in my index finger, put my sponge on there just to add some water. Alright, you can see that. Okay, and then what I'll be doing, the idea is I'm going to be pushing in with this inside part of my knuckle. Not the outside, but it's going to come rest on that wall about 5 o'clock if this were a clock head. Rest in my elbow, get some water on that sponge. That's going to be how it's set up like. Okay, again, it's the inside of that knuckle, and we're just using the very kind of edge right there. See, I'm pointing to it. We're going to go to the base and then all the way to the rim. My inside hand, I'm using just the pad of that side of that finger. It's going to come meet that knuckle on the other side. And the idea is I'm going to squeeze those two together really lightly at first here on the outside, right? That sponge is just adding some water, like I was saying, and my inside hand is going to meet that clay knuckle, well, that knuckle on the other side of the clay. We're going to squeeze in slowly, and then we're going to go upwards. Nice and easy, nice and slow. Okay, that's the key. Doing a little bit of pressure at a time, and doing it nice and evenly as possible. I'll smooth out my rim a little bit, and then I'll add some water because things get dry as I do those pulling of our walls, and then I'll do it again. A couple common mistakes that I see as we do pull our walls is we'll kind of sit in one spot for too long, and that'll create a thin spot in our wall. So remember to keep those fingers going up. And then another one is we'll go really fast. See how I was telling you to slow down a little bit? That clay wall will kind of just start to jiggle if we're not slow and steady. So we'll go back over those walls. See how we just give it a little stability, things shape up really, really nicely. Now with the next part of that pull, like I said before, you can use your fingertips, and the idea is we're just kind of doing the same thing, but just have those ring finger and middle finger, we're going to be pushing in and helping that clay go up. See, the pinky's always up, my friend, but you can see we're going from that base. Both hands are going to kind of work together, right, and go all the way to that rim, and then we'll come off right slow. We might get a little bit of water to put on there if we feel like it's getting sticky at all. Alright, and we can kind of go from there. Now when we are moving on after we've made our cylinder, now we can start to really shape our little clay guy, okay? And what we can do next is, I'll show you a couple tips. So the basics of shaping are as follows. So if I want something to go out more, then I'll take my inside hand and kind of just belly it out. See, I'm just supporting on the outside and pushing really gently with the tip of my finger, and you can really get it to kind of flow outwards. Now, if I wanted the opposite effect, then what I would do is kind of push in from the outside and ease in that clay from the outside in instead of the other way. And you'll see I can do a little hug as well to kind of push that clay back in. See, that gets rid of that shape. Add a little bit of water as I shape, right? Just a little bit so we don't stick. But you'll see, oh, I want that base to kind of belly out more. Okay, well, I'm going to take my hand and kind of just push in and out, and that clay will start to come outwards. Now, if we notice that we want to kind of squish in that clay, we can just take our fingertips and kind of just see I'm going on all the sides and pushing really, really skinny. That's something that you can definitely try out. You can see that we can go pretty thin and make that nice and enclosed little guy. And see I'm squishing on the sides again to bring that clay back in. Always give it a nice hug if it needs it. See, I have my sponge, some water, okay? But we're going to shape really gently, really softly, and we can kind of push that clay inward. Now what you'll see me do next is I'll be doing some more shaping, and then when you guys are done with your pieces, what I'll usually like to do, and I'm not showing this, maybe I should pull up a video, but we'll torch kind of that top half of our piece after getting rid of some of that water with our sponge. We'll kind of get rid of that glisten, and then what we'll have our instructors do, or if you feel comfortable, we can cut that piece off the wheel with our wire tool, keeping it nice and tight to the base, and then we'll have you, or usually our instructors, will come by, pick up that piece, place it on our table, have you write your first and last name, your color that you're going to choose, and then today's date. It's really important that you do write all those things so that we can keep track of your pieces, so we can know who you are, and then we can get them back to you when they're finished. Thank you for watching. Love y'all. Bye-bye.